What if I told you that outward obedience is not enough for God? That following rules and traditions can never make you righteous? In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus shocks his listeners with this truth. God's standard isn't just about what you do, it's about who you are, deep in your heart. In Matthew 5:17, Jesus begins with these words, "Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them but to fulfill them." The Jewish leaders of his day thought righteousness came by strict rule-keeping. But Jesus says the law was never an end in itself. It pointed to him. Every sacrifice, every command, every prophecy, it all finds its fulfillment in Christ. Then Jesus raises the bar. He says, "Unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven." Imagine how shocking that was. The Pharisees were the religious elite. If they weren't righteous enough, who was? That's the point. Jesus shows us that true righteousness cannot come from self-effort, it must come from God himself. And then he gives 6 examples. You have heard it said, but I say to you, each one drives the truth deeper. Murder isn't just killing, it's harboring anger in your heart. Adultery isn't just the act, it's lust in your mind. Loving your neighbor isn't enough, you are called to love your enemy. Jesus pierces through outward religion and exposes the heart. Why? Because the kingdom requires a higher righteousness, a perfect righteousness, not one we achieve, but one we receive. This is why the Apostle Paul says in 2 Corinthians 5:21, God made him who knew no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. Jesus fulfills the law, and by faith, his righteousness is credited to us. That's the good news of grace. Think about this. You may not have killed anyone, but have you been angry? You may not have committed adultery, but have you lusted in your heart? You may not hate your neighbor, but have you withheld forgiveness? Every one of us falls short. But Christ's point is not to crush us with guilt, it's to point us to himself. He alone is our righteousness, he alone can transform our hearts, and through the Spirit he makes us salt and light in a dark world. The Sermon on the Mount forces a decision. Will you cling to your own goodness, or will you admit your need for Christ's righteousness? Will you keep polishing the outside, or will you let him change you from the inside out? Friend, you can't fulfill the law, you were never meant to, but Jesus did, and now he calls you to trust him, to walk with him, and to let his Spirit write his law on your heart. That is the higher righteousness of the kingdom. That is the life that glorifies God. So today, don't settle for outward religion, seek the righteousness that only comes through Christ, and let his grace transform your heart.